The Amashova Cycle Race is one of the standout races on the South African calendar, and it started in 1986. The race has grown in popularity over the years to become one of the premier cycle races in South Africa. This race follows the Comrades marathon route with the race distance of 103 kilometers. Now, to talk to us about this, we are joined by Thembelihle Mbatha, who has many hats when it comes to the Amashova Durban Cycle Race. And we are hoping that Joe van Winkel will join us as well via Zoom, who is this year's women's race winner. But firstly, a good morning to you, Thembelihle. Thank you so much for joining us, looking all nice and stylish.
And South African. Thank you.
And extremely South African.
Good morning.
Now, this is the first time that you guys are getting involved with the race. Tell us what for you was the reason that you wanted to become part of this race that has been in existence since 1986.
I think it's important for us as the community scheme ombud service. We are going out, putting our name out there from a publicity point of view, as well as a disseminating information, which is part of our mandate. I think a lot of people don't know about the community ombud service and what we do. So we trying to get involved in the lifestyle type of events, the cycling event, which is the biggest one that we have and the oldest one that we have. So we want to get involved because most of our stakeholders, in fact, take part in these activities.
And is that how you came to be aware of the race, because of your stakeholders' involvement?
Yes, that's how we came to be part of the race. Our stakeholders are mostly your community schemes. These are the gated communities, your estate living, your block of flats. So from a lifestyle point of view, these kind of communities to partake in these kind of sporting activities. So we're wanting to be closer, to reach out to them.
And what do you do with these within the different communities in which you operate?
So our mandate is mainly to provide scheme regulation. So we are a regulator as part of the Department of Human Settlement. So we govern, we regulate the governance of the scheme, so the community scheme rules, so make sure that they're compliant with the Constitution. And if people have disputes within each other, if you're fighting with your neighbor, you can't resolve it, you come to us with the first point of call. If you have contention with your body corporate, you come to us, and we provide this free service to all South Africans. And then none the wiser, your homeowners, they need to come to the community scheme ombud service.
And you find the perfect place to just find everyone that you appeal to. Let's talk about this year's edition of the race, though, because it is the first time that you got involved. What would you say was the biggest takeaway from your point of view as the commercial partner, having been involved? You saw who the winners were, you saw the level of competition. What would you say are your biggest learnings from this competition this year?
I'm actually quite glad we participated in it. We sponsored about 29 cyclists with our brand and logo. What's quite interesting is that the youth is getting involved. You're having your women categories now, which assist in transformation. So getting involved, I think it's going to bring awareness even to this kind of a sport. The Comrades are huge, right? So cycling is also quite as big, and I don't think it's getting enough traction as it should be.
Yes.
But with our involvement, we're hoping to, since it's our first year, see what the benefits are and how much we've yielded through this partnership and continue going forward.
Let's speak to your involvement, because you say this is your first year. What does that look like? Is it just, let's have this first year, which we've just done now, and then we look back and see what we've reaped as the sponsor, then we'll decide whether or not we're moving forward? Or have you signed up for a certain number of years already from the get-go?
So we've just signed up for this year, and I think it's looking good. We had a couple of stakeholders that we were targeting come to our stand. We also sponsored the event in terms of prize giving, putting our logo out there, and encouraging others to come to the fold. So I think with what we've seen so far, the traction that we've had homeowners, we had the National Association of Managing Agents coming to our stand. So it is something quite good. I think it's positive that we participated.
And in terms of the quality of competition, let's talk to that, because I think with any other race, you'd always, of course, have your elite athletes who are the ones that can do it in no time. It's a no-brainer. It's just 103 kilometers. And then you have the ones that just want to do it for, it's a social thing. They just want to ride along with other people that they know. How did you find that?
I think the level of competition was quite high. You must have noted that KZN had quite flooding, the rainy weather was bad. So the cyclists actually braved the weather. So the competition was quite good. Apparently it's better to cycle in that kind of weather. I'm not sure, but there's quite a bit of resilience from the cyclists. So the competition was quite good. Your elite ones finished, I think, even before 2 hours or so. And those beginners, there's quite leeway for them to do it. I think some of them did it in 5 hours, but they braved the storm, they braved the rainy weather. And we had activation points, I think, in Pinetown, where we were just cheering them on. You know, when you're just about to give up, then we have our cheerleaders there saying, go, make it, you're going to get there.
Are there cutoffs on this race?
I think, you know, when you can't continue, there are those Thembelihle buses that come, you know, assist you, put your cycle on. But it does cut off, I think, at 12. Yeah, and then they come through. But I think most of the races made it through, eh?
I know we're likely going to see you next year there in the competition as well, not as an elite.
I'm going to try maybe a 35 kilometer with the kids.
It's a 103 kilometer race. You've got to do the whole thing.
It's got different, actually, quite interestingly, it's got different medals for 35 kilometers, I think 65, and then the 103. So you can enter 3 categories.
All right, and finally, just as I wrap up with you, Thembelihle, in terms of the future growth of the competition and your involvement in it, where do you want to see that go in the next couple of years, if you do come back?
Sure, I want to see it as one of the biggest in the world. I mean, South Africa, we've got that zing. Our rugby boys are doing quite well.
Our cricket boys also.
Cricket boys are doing quite well. I hope cycling makes it to the top of the races in the world. I mean, eThekwini was supporting us in terms of a province, and it is the best place to come for a holiday. So I'm hoping that it gets to that level.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, Thembelihle. It's unlucky Joe couldn't come on because I actually also wanted to speak to her in terms of just the Olympics. We know they're in Paris next year and what her preparations were for that. But thank you so much and all the best for the future.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.